Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Okay. Anyone present? Not yet. Hare Krishna devotees. Here we go again on another stormy day in Durban. Gee whiz, been a lot of rain, and the wind is howling out there. Sure. So anyway, here we go. And so we'll be here now for 2 hours. For about 2 hours, starting with the 7th canto. And we'll see how far we get. It's quite possible we may get into the 10th canto. Of course, you know the 10th canto is very big. It's as big as 3 other cantos. Yeah, it's a total of 90 chapters. Anyway, let's see how it goes, starting with the 7th canto. So, first of all, we offer our prayers. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Jatarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapaturubhyascha Kripas Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Right, so 7th canto is after the 2nd canto. It's the shortest of all the cantos. There are 15 chapters, just 2 sections. Of course, one of the sections is very famous indeed. It's about Lord Nrsingadev. That is really one of the most special, one of the most famous and interesting of all the cantos, of all the sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. So anyway, let's get into it. But then the second so the section on Lord Nrsingadev is from chapter 1 to chapter 10, examining the whole subject from different points of view. Yes, so from chapter 1 to chapter 10, theme is Lord Nrsingadev. Then from chapter 11 to chapter 15, the theme is ideal social life. And basically, it's examining different of the ashrams, the stages of life. So, okay, let's just get into it. So now, in the 7th chapter, the question is raised. Well, let's just give me a second. Whoops. Yeah. Just a sec. All right. So the first chapter of the 7th canto is the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. And here the question is raised that even though the Supreme Personality of Godhead kills the demons, and he doesn't kill the devotees, rather he protects the devotees, kills the demons who are opposed to the devotees, but that doesn't mean that he's partial. And as the chapter title states of this first chapter of 7th canto, the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. Yeah, but he's just equal in different ways. Yes. So, anyway, yeah, let's just have a look through here. An interesting question is, or not so much question really, but an interesting point is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental to everything material. So, therefore, because in the course of all this discussion, in the 7th canto, the Supreme Personality of Godhead kills Shishupal. So an interesting point is made about the Supreme Lord here in this first chapter of the 7th canto, that because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental, spiritual, he's not really conscious of what's going on the material level, because he's transcendental to it. He's never under the influence of the modes. He's never under the influence of material time. Yes. So anyway, so the point is made that the Lord, well, Shishupal, the Lord's about to kill Shishupal. And, yeah. Shishupal was famous, Lord. Canto begins with a discussion. Well, it's Shukadev Goswami explains Judge Parikshit and Maharaj Yudhisthira Rajasuya sacrifice of Maharaj criticizing the Lord in verse here somewhere in the seventh canto. Here it is, I just found it, just stumbled on it. Verse 9 in the first chapter. Narada Muni, is it Narada? No, it's Maharaj Yudhisthira. Experience with Shishupal from the very beginning, when he could not even speak properly. Shishupal, the most sinful son of Dharma Ghosh, began blaspheming the Lord, and he continued death. And similarly, Dantavakra continued the sins. Yes, he makes the point. Shishupal and Dantavakra repeatedly blasphemed the Lord. Still, they were quite healthy. He says, indeed, their tongues were not attacked by white leprosy, nor did they enter the darkest of hellish life. How could it be? How possible? And then when Shishupal was killed of Lord Krishna, so Narada that our experience, chastisement, respect, these opposites are experienced because of ignorance. And souls, that's how they are. They're an. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never in. So therefore, here, this is the purport of verse 23 of the first chapter of the canto. The suffering of being blasphemed and the enjoyment of being praised, the acceptance of a good welcome or of chastisement by harsh words are felt in the material conception of life. But since the body of the Supreme Lord is not material, but Satchidananda Vigraha, he is unaffected by insults or greetings, or blasphemy or prayers. So therefore, this is Prabhupada explaining, therefore the Lord doesn't feel extra pleasure when offered nice prayers by the devotee, although the devotee benefits by offering prayers to the Lord. Yes. And Prabhupada says, indeed, the Lord is very kind to his so-called enemy, because one who always thinks of the Lord as an enemy also benefits, although he thinks of the Lord adversely. Yes. So if a conditioned soul thinking of the Lord as an enemy or a friend somehow or other becomes attached to the Lord, either as an enemy or as a friend, he receives great benefit. How does that sound? Had we thought of that before? Not so much, probably. Yeah. So, so he makes the point that because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental, because he doesn't have material senses, in a certain sense, he doesn't perceive anything material. But he perceives things that are transcendental. So the explanation is that, therefore, when Shishupal, who hated Krishna from his earliest childhood, when he couldn't even speak properly, and right through to the time he was killed by the Lord, he only ever criticized Krishna, never anything else. If you ask him, how do you feel today? He would say, I feel like I don't want to see Krishna. What are you going to do today? I'm not going to see Krishna. Yes. This was Shishupal. But because the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not have material senses, so therefore he doesn't perceive, in a certain sense, it's in a certain sense, he doesn't perceive anything material. All Shishupal heard was Krishna. Then a little gap, then Krishna. Then a little gap, Krishna. In the gaps was, I don't want to see, or I hate, or don't talk to me about. There was silence for the Lord. But then I don't want to talk about Krishna. He heard the Krishna. So this was going on for years, from his early childhood right through until the time he was killed, when he was a full-grown adult. I mean, he was probably in his 30s or something like that. So, yeah. So the thing is that, so that's one aspect of it. The devotees are saying, we like Krishna. We want to serve Krishna. The demons are saying, we hate Krishna. We don't want to hear about Krishna. In one sense, of course, Krishna's omniscient, so it's just in one sense. The Lord just hears the Krishna. Yeah. And the Lord helps the devotees so they get his mercy in that way. The Lord kills the demons so they get his mercy in that way. Because by being killed by the Lord, a person is liberated. Yes. A person is liberated. Now, of course, there's a deeper aspect to it. In terms of the natures of the two types of liberations. The liberation the devotee gets, devotee goes back to Vaikuntha, to Goloka Vrindavan. and the liberation that the non-devotee, the demon gets is impersonal liberation. Yes. So they're both liberation. They're both liberation. So on that level, in that sense, they're equal. They all get liberation. That's equal. But then the devotees go back to Godhead, where life is eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge, in the association of the Lord. The demons go to the Brahmajyoti, but that's only temporary. And then they fall down again into material life from just the general circumstances of material life. So, Srila Jiva Goswami, in discussing this particular point, contrasting these two types of liberations of the devotees and the demons, he makes the point that the devotees feel kaivalya, means impersonal liberation, or just liberation, but he's referring to impersonal liberation. Kaivalya narakayate. That type of liberation is like hell. The devotees don't want it because there's no contact with Krishna there. So narak means hell. Yes, Kaivalya, that was, who was it anyway? Yamunacharya? Maybe Yamunacharya. Kaivalya narakayate, tridaspur akash pushpayate. And the promise of heavenly enjoyment in the heavenly planets is akash pushpayate, like ethereal flowers. Flowers in the sky. There aren't any flowers in the sky. If you think there are, you're hallucinating. Yeah. So the so-called pleasures of the heavenly planets are just hallucinations. And impersonal liberation is hellish. So Srila Jiva Goswami makes the point that on a certain level, as we mentioned, it may seem the demons get liberation, and that's really good. Many impersonalists have to struggle and struggle for years or lifetimes to get impersonal liberation. So, in a certain sense, impersonal liberation seems pretty good. But the devotees consider it like hell. Hell. It doesn't feel any better than hell. And so Jiva Goswami says, what do you expect to happen? A demon's going to go to hell. I have a question, by the way, devotees.
I was just thinking that came down as Shishupala in the Dandava. Won't, when the Lord killed them, they go back to their positions?
Won't what?
Won't they go back to their positions?
Yes. The question is, Jai and Vijay fell down. We've been discussing that a little bit just before. So, but then they're killed by the Lord. Won't they then go to Godhead or be liberated?
No, they'll take their positions in the spiritual world.
Or return to their positions. The thing is, Jai and Vijay are special. First of all, they got 3 3 births to associate with, then they were promised back. Yeah. But was killed by Krishna. But as Bhagavatam 10:2-32 says, they fall down again.